Raiders, today I have something exciting to talk about. It's for the third rotation of Hydra. We're going to do shield extension and counterattack extension as well using Valkyrie. Now, you can take what we're talking about today and expand this to other champs. They don't have to use counterattack, they don't have to use shield, they could use one or the other. The main takeaway today is going to be that they aren't going to do anything to our buffs. So anything you want to use as far as buffs goes is fair game. You will have to do a little bit of debuffing, but not much, and it's going to go really well. And a couple of the champs that we're going to talk about today might come as a surprise, especially one of them. And if what you see today helps you out, please subscribe to my channel. It would help me out a lot. So here we are starting out. I'm going to skip ahead pretty quick here. And the reason why is we're going to be A1ing a lot. And we're going to do that until the yellow icon above the head on the left gets triggered. That's his full cleanse where he cleanses his whole team. And on this run, I was not able to trigger that to go first. So he does his other move first, and then he does that one. The one where he cleanses, puts the shield up first, but he only cleanses one. And then in this one, he's going to cleanse that yellow, or he's going to cleanse the whole team with that yellow icon. So other than putting up our counterattacks, which I don't even know if I recommend at this point, probably do because of the shield. But because of the poison clouds being up and because of him not cleansing yet, we're really not going to be doing much damage yet. And we're pretty much going to be using our A1s and just kind of cycling through them until he does his move. So I'll skip ahead to that point. So here, the head on the left went ahead and cleansed his entire team of, other Hydra heads. And now we can go and start using our debuffs. I believe the first one we're going to put down will be Tomb Lord. He's going to be using his decreased defense and his decreased attack. Decreased defense, of course, will be important for doing more damage. But the decreased attack will be important because the shields that we put up, we don't want them to reduce them too quickly. So as long as they have decreased defense down and Valkyrie puts up her shields like we just did there, now when they hit us, they aren't getting decreased before we get the chance to extend them and buff them up. What's cool about this comp is we're going to eventually be putting it mostly on auto and just kind of like picking the right head to aim for. There are a few times I believe I kind of like stop the auto and go in and manual for a little bit. We do have to keep our eyes on it. When they swallow us, we need to direct our attacks towards that head. And there's some other situations where we get out of sync a bit and we really want to get that shield back up and running. But the cool part is this keeps the shields up pretty high with a lot of turns. So that as long as they haven't wiped them out with a really big hit, we've got them up pretty much the whole time. The reason Brogni's in this team is not only to extend the shields, like we just saw him do there, and actually make them bigger, but he's also, every time we get hit, he's reflecting the damage that they take off those shields back at them. So that's another way to create damage. Not only are we counterattacking and going to hit them, but when they hit us, we're actually taking some of the damage they would be dealing to our shields and doing damage to them instead. And since it's happening to our shields, it's not taking away from our actual HP levels. And then Flesh Terror is going to be healing us up when he gets to his A2, I believe it is. That's the one that extends our buffs, but also heals the entire team as well. So that's going to be a lot of help. We'll go over those skills at the end. But I believe it's on a 4-turn cooldown, and so are the debuff extensions as well. So he's got 2 turns where he just runs up and hits them, and then he's going to be extending our buffs, and then he's going to be extending their debuffs. And the cool part is you're seeing some pretty high numbers on the poisons, and he's going to be keeping that HP burn on these heads practically constantly. Not completely constantly because they get to wipe them, but there's pretty much no time after we put those up until they get wiped that HP burn won't be on these heads. So here we are. We're getting close to where he's going to be cleansing them off. Anytime they have more than 5 debuffs, and I believe that counts as individual ticks of each one. So if you had like 2 poisons up, but they each had 2 turns, that would count as 4. If you also had like a decreased speed, that bumps it up now to 5 or 6. And then that means he's going to use his full team cleanse. If the debuffs are at less than 5, he's going to use his single cleanse instead. That's the one where he puts the shield up. So he'll end up using both, but you can kind of predict which one he'll use first by the number of debuffs that we have on the heads. This was actually when I was being interviewed on Hell Hades' Twitch channel that I learned that, because in the chat he's got some of his big brains that work on his website, just kind of chiming in and telling us stuff that neither one of us knew. So that was pretty cool. So now somebody's been swallowed. What we're doing is we're going to target. You can't really see it behind the champions very well, but we've targeted that head on the left. And other than the counterattacks that you're going to see us going after other heads, we're just going to focus our main attacks on that head on the left until we get our champion back. So there we go. He barfed out Brogni. So because Brogni was swallowed, he lost all of his buffs, but everybody else still has theirs. So you can see how well these buffs are staying up. As long as Brogni survives until the buffs are put back on, we're good to go. If he does die, he gets saved by Godseeker Aniri. She has a passive that will, once every X number of turns, I can't remember how many, she will actually revive them automatically. And then she also has a single target revive that she can target herself. So she actually works well in this comp because people aren't dying very often. I do wonder if she would have a strong enough revive if we were trying to run this like on hard or brutal or something like that. She would still be helpful, but you might want somebody like a Duchess, Arvid, or somebody that can come in and do an AoE revive in case they take out more than one person at a time. So at this point now, we've targeted the head that has been decapitated, and the reason we're doing that is to get to do like double damage or 4 times damage or something like that on that head. So whenever a head's decapitated, we're going to target that, unless we're better off targeting a head as far as like if they've swallowed us, or if they're close to dead but they've targeted somebody to be swallowed, then we may want to target them just to get rid of them. This is from a classified military personnel file on the student. Full name is Now we're going to kind of wait around and watch to see when Valkyrie puts the shield back up, because it's starting to get a little small. You really don't want is the head of Mischief to pop up. Torment isn't the best because he can fear you, and if you're feared, then you're not gonna, then you might end up wasting a turn. It might be best to manual when he's up, but as long as we get these heads up, we're good to go. The problem with Mischief is when he steals the buffs, he's stealing counterattack and he's going to pass it to everybody. He's stealing shield and he's going to pass it to everybody. He's stealing, attack up, he's passing it to everybody. So that could not be ideal for a lot of reasons. The one good part about counterattack is you are going to, when he attacks, you're going to go and attack him back. But since he's not doing AoEs, it's really not going to be that effective. I would say if you're trying to get through him, you just put the target on him and you just hope, that you're going to get enough targets through to take him down. But, I don't think that's too likely. So hopefully we won't see him pop up and we can keep getting these heads, or maybe the Torment head who we can deal with, just not quite as effectively. I would like it that we could just keep these 4 heads, keep them popping up, and not, expand to 6 heads. What I worry about is that we're going to end up in the same situation we have with Clan Boss. Somebody's going to come up with the best possible comp for all that deals with all 6. Everybody's going to look to get those champions. Clarion will be happy for a while because everybody's going to be trying to pull to get them. But then once they realize that, oh, we've got them, then this becomes dead content. No matter what heads you throw in, we just use the same team, and we're running the same team for each rotation. I really like the fact that it changes and that we have to come up with new comps and build new champions. That's half the fun of this game. I definitely lived through a period of this game. Some of you may not have, some of you may have, where most of the content in this game was dead. We were waiting for Hydra to come out. We were waiting for Doom Tower to come out, and it was never coming. We had such a long period that I actually took 6 months off the game because all I was doing was running Dragon and running Fire Knight every night, running my, unkillable comp through Clan Boss, and just kind of treading water, waiting for new content to come out. I had already beaten everything in the game. I already had Lydia. I already had everything. There was nothing to build a champion for. We were just kind of doing it for fun. So a lot of people took a break during that period, and I was one of them. I really commend those who, stood their ground, stayed in the game, and kept this thing alive for the rest of us. Thank you guys, because, had you all disappeared, maybe none of this would have happened. We might not have Hydra. We might not have Doom Tower. So these things aren't perfect, but I'm glad they've added it. I'm glad we have, new content to focus on and put our energy behind. So here we are again. The Poison Head has swallowed another champion. Luckily, we still have the burn up, and luckily the head on the left is going to be waiting quite a while to use his cleanse. So we're going to have no trouble getting that champion out. That's where I guess the biggest issues could come. If, say, Mordecai gets swallowed, and then the cleanse comes through, wipes the burn off, then we're going to be in trouble, because if he gets the poison cloud put up before we get the chance to get him back out, it's going to be really hard to get him out, because we're all going to just be doing normal hits against that poison cloud. So I think that's the best chance for wipe out of this group, is if the head on the left cleanses, poison cloud goes up, we don't have Mordecai to put up the burn. The good part about Mordecai is he places the HP burn instead of hitting. Placing means you can't weak hit, which means you can just literally lay them on no matter what affinity they are, and you're also laying them on no matter what's up. Poison Cloud will stop most HP burners from hitting it. I've got Ignatius, he's amazing, but against that Poison Cloud, he doesn't place them. He just, he hits and he weak hits, so therefore no HP burn. So here we are, we've got HP burn up on everyone again. We're going to get that cleanse again pretty soon, but that's okay. We're doing pretty good. We're at 9 million damage so far. What I'm going to do is probably skip ahead again, get to another point where I feel that we've done something significant. Otherwise, it's just been on auto, and we just keep, moving the focus from one head to another. Again, we've got a head down. Here we are. We're just going to target it for a while, get up as much damage as we can. But otherwise, this is pretty well set to auto. All right, so here we're at a point that's pretty interesting, and the reason it's interesting is that almost all the heads are pretty low at this point, and we're going to end up with some multiple heads down, I think, if I remember correctly. So right now we're going to focus again on the head on the left to get our champion out, but because of the fact that when they attack us, we counterattack, and because of the fact that the shields actually do damage, we don't even have to focus on the heads that are low necessarily. The other cool part with the head on the left being down, nobody's cleansing anything off at this point, so we can just go on full bore attack and not have to worry about our our HP burn getting wiped off or anything like that. So this is going to be a great point for building up a bunch of damage. I did go in and manual for just a little bit here. I was trying to decide what the best course of action was, since our counterattack was off and our shields were off. That didn't happen many times during the run, but when it did, that's when a good time to, or that's when it's a good time to back off of auto and start manualing. Make sure you get things back in sync, because this is what we want. We want our shield back up, and now we want to focus on getting those extensions up and things like that. So here's the Torment Head. What we want to do is avoid attacking him as much as possible. Um, Flesh Terror and Godseeker and Neri are going to have to do their AoE attacks to keep this thing going. So will Valkyrie when it's time to do hers. So I think this is why I was manualing at this point. I was like, ooh, Torment Head's up. Let's avoid that. What happens when we hit the Torment Head, as you see with Flesh Terror there, is you automatically get a fear or a true fear put on yourself. If you attack during a true fear, that move is gone. It's not like regular fear where you just lose a turn. You're actually losing that turn, and that skill goes on cooldown. So it's really rough when that procs. You have a 50% chance. You can get lucky, but if you don't get lucky, you're in trouble. The other issue with the Torment Head is when he attacks us, he also has a chance to put that true fear down as well. And of course, we're going to be counterattacking, so pretty much everybody's going to end up getting it. This is where I thought our goose was cooked. I was pretty happy with 15 million, but we do survive it. And so let's watch for a little bit and kind of see how that goes, so we can see, how we avoided destruction with the Torment Head. Looks like we got the Poison Head back, and I forgive me for not knowing all the names. It's really confusing with 6 of them. I shouldn't say 6 is like something horrible to try to remember, but it really does. For those who are not familiar with my channel, I do like to do comps like this with Hydra. Like I said, I was interviewed on Hell Hades Twitch with an unkillable Hydra comp that I'd come up with. It wasn't like a perfect unkillable. It wasn't something that you can't possibly wipe with or anything like that. But it is something that makes it really hard to wipe. You can kind of, keep going and alive. If you do have to reset, that happens without triggering a wipe, at least most of the time. So it's not like the unkillable we have for the traditional clan boss. But so on my channel, I do like to do things like this for Hydra or other comps that I come up with, but I have a big focus on doing like improv or sketch comedy, like Saturday Night Live type stuff. Much toned down from that, but based on Raid Shadow Legends. So I'll take some footage, or just some stills of the champions, voiceovers, and things like that. Try to do some funny scenarios. So if that sounds like fun to you, make sure you subscribe to my channel. And you can go back and look at some of them, like the behind the raid, the true story of Rhodos and Siffy, things like that. That's just mainly Rhodos hanging out in a bar with Geomancer, and they're just trying to pick up chicks and stuff. But some pretty funny one-liners and stuff like that in there. So if that sounds like fun to you, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. So here we are. We're getting the Torment Head low, and that's kind of happening naturally, right? He attacks, we counterattack, and that head goes down pretty fast. So I really don't think with this comp on normal that he's going to be that big of an issue. If it happened at the wrong time and the wrong people missed their moves and triggered that true fear, I do think it would be a bigger issue. But if you're manualing it, then it's really not that big of a deal. You can avoid to use like a really important move and wasting it. The cool part is once you decapitate that head, you end up cleansing your entire team of the true fear. So once you get him low, you can actually focus on him as opposed to trying to avoid him, because you're going to end up cleansing your team anyway. So here we are. We're going to have to once again get another champion out from the Head of Wrath, which is the one on the right. So we've triggered, or we've targeted the Head of Wrath. The reason you're seeing us attack the other heads is because of the counterattack. But now, we're focused on him, so all of our attacks are going towards him. luckily, he's not a super strong head. We did get Torment back again, so once again we'll be testing how that goes. Uh, but we'll be surviving again, I believe. So we're already at 18.9 million, um, and again, this is on normal. So if you can do this comp and you can put up numbers like this, you're going to really help your team and help your clan clear through normal and get to hard, or clear through normal, faster, so people don't have to use as many keys on normal. So, and I'll try to do some work on this comp going forward, see if I can, get it ready for hard. We don't have brutal unlocked ourselves in our clan yet, but so I can't really test anything on brutal. But I don't think this comp is really brutal ready. I do think Valkyrie is really good for brutal, but I think we'd be pairing her more with people like Lydia and with people like Sifi, and people bringing strength in and increased defense and stuff like that, so that these shields will last longer against the harder hitting ones. All right, so this part's interesting. We've actually got 3 heads down. The bad part of having 3 heads down is we're not going to be using our counterattack almost at all. The good part of it is that nobody's doing anything to mess with our comp. When we put poisons up, it's going on everywhere. And there's nothing to like lower the damage of those poisons. So we just jumped from 18 million to 20 million pretty quickly there. Already up to, that was another 250,000 just from that head spawning and triggering those poisons. So this is another reason that Tomb Lord is so good, and he's so good in so much content. I use him to solo Dragon 25. I use him to solo, or I usually duo the Ice Golem just to make sure I don't get any wipes when he triggers that big hit. And I use him to solo Minotaur. I use him to solo Potion Keeps, or most of the Potion Keeps. So he's really incredible if you have him. Obviously, this is not a free-to-play team. If you're around for the Brogni fusion, you may have gotten him through that. Valkyrie is very difficult to get. Nobody's Void except for Godseeker. But, Tomb Lord, Valkyrie, and Brogni are all legendaries. The other 3 aren't too tough to get. But, even with epics, you can get unlucky. I still don't have Seer, which is kind of heartbreaking. It's what I'm probably mostly known for. But what I think you could do is you could use pretty much any shield champ to help stay alive longer. If you don't have the counterattack, that's okay. It wouldn't be the same as this, but if you have Brogni, you're still going to be doing shield damage to them. So if you use another champion to help, boost damage, like you bring in your Royal Guards or one of them, and you're using the shields from Brogni or from somebody else to help them stay alive, that could be really effective, because then when they're taking damage, you're also giving damage, and then you have those hard hitters. But we already know about those hard hitters. I'm not doing a comp on them for a reason. A lot of people have. But the enemy max HP ones are pretty strong. I'm really interested in Nagdar. I want to know how he would be fully built. I did 6-star him a long time ago, but I haven't had the leftover Lego books. I keep pulling new legendaries I want to build before him. And so I've never really fully maxed him out. So I will be interested in doing that once this happens, because he's got some pretty cool mechanics that could maybe do some pretty big damage against these heads as well. So we're at 22 million, and loving that number already. This does continue; it just kind of keeps going, and there goes another head. Here comes some more damage, and this continues, like I said, all the way to 32 million. And now we've got another buried head. I have not yet switched over to target him. There we go. We've switched over to target him. And again, since that head on the left is not there, the one that wipes our buffs, we don't even have to worry about, our HP burn getting washed away or anything like that. So getting these champions back out is pretty easy with that head gone. They really don't do anything to, prevent you from getting them out. The only one that does is that head on the left. If he puts that shield up on the wrong head while we have somebody swallowed, that could cause a wipe. And then, of course, if he cleanses off that HP burn and the wrong champion is swallowed. So here it is, actually, Torment. The Torment head, that might be the ideal head to pop up, as it turns out. He's been popping up a lot. We've been doing a lot of damage. He dies pretty quick, which helps us do more damage. And his True Fears hurt, but with these champions in here doing what they're doing, as long as we manual enough to have Valkyrie's shield up, then I don't think it's going to be a big problem that he fears and people lose a turn once in a while. Again, this is on normal, not on hard. I think he would be more problematic on hard. So what I'm going to do is skip ahead a little bit. I'd like to have some of the end content up and running, but we're going to skip ahead until we get to maybe around like 28, 29 million. 9 million. And yeah, the two heads in the middle look like they're getting pretty low. So it'll be interesting to see. And okay, so we get back to that first head again. Got the swallow. And now this is kind of worst case scenario. When he comes back, he cleanses right away because we've already got all the debuffs up. They've swallowed our champion already. And we're only going to be in his stomach for 2 turns. So at 2 turns, it's already, pretty hard to get him back out. I think this is why we end up with a wipe at this point. And of course, we can't do anything about that shield. We can't cleanse it off. All we can do is try to attack through it. Luckily, we're not attacking through Poison Cloud right now. But we got HP burn up. That's a good start. But now we have 1 turn to get through all that shield and through the green part. And he did his turn and swallowed him. So we lost one of our champions. That's kind of the beginning of the end. This will last a little while, some damage. Looks like I think we're going to do another, about 1.5 million to 2 million of damage. But, once you lose kind of one link in the chain, that's where you start to see it go down. The other issue is that they start swallowing you pretty fast at this point, every couple turns, and they've targeted Mordecai. So that's worst case scenario. You don't want to lose Mordecai. That's when we can end up with Poison Cloud up, and if the wrong one swallows them, like just happened, we now have trapped behind Poison Cloud, and we have no way to place HP burn. And there goes the Ally Protect, which makes it even harder. And I'm actually kind of amazed that we get, all the way to 32 million from this. I'm guessing that will come when the Head of Wrath dies. If the Head of Wrath dies. I believe the Head of Wrath does damage to all the other heads whenever he dies. So he's not a bad one to target, other than the fact that he hits the hardest. And you see kind of this counter in the top right going up. Right now it's at 8, now it's at 9, now it's at 10. The higher that gets, the harder he hits. And when it gets up to the very top, he does like a really big smack. I can't remember. I think it might be like 13 or 14 turns, something like that. And he puts out a big smack that's usually what was wiping away our shield. So, I guess we do get to attack first, or at least counter attack first. So that's good, except we still got swallowed. So here we are, getting swallowed again. At this point during the ramp up, that's the issue. They just attack so fast and they swallow us so quickly that we just lose one champ after another. Here we are. Do we make the 32 million, or does it kill us before we reach that point? I believe we make the 32 though. It's probably because we have the HP burn up, so every time they take a turn, they're doing damage, and we've got that head down on the right. So when they do damage to that head, it was doing more damage. Wow, here we are at 31.7 million. Now we cleansed it off. I'm kind of amazed we even get another, 200,000. We got another one swallowed. Now it's just up to Brogni and Godseeker Aniri. This part's kind of exciting to watch it tick up. Like, can we make 32 million or not? I remember the number 32 million, but it could have been, just remembering how close I was to it. But we ticked to 31.9. Wow, we're so close. I think we're going to do it. There we go, 32 million. That is what I remember. At this point, we're just kind of milking it, seeing what we can get. We've got 2 champs swallowed at the same time. That's how bad it ramps up. But turn count, 211. 213. 213 turn count, 32 million. What a fun one. About 46 minutes. That's almost an hour, guys. That's a long run. But if you have to run it 4 or 5 times, that's worse, right? Okay, so let's take a look at the champs real quick. Here's Underpriest Brogni. The stats that I had on him were 47,000 hit points. I'd like that to be higher. 2,600 defense and 222 speed. The speeds I'm trying to do is just stay faster than those heads. So on normal, this is plenty of speed. On even, I think when you get to hard, this is still enough speed to stay ahead of the heads. He's only got 90% crit rate. I kind of robbed him from some gear. His crit damage went down a little as well. And then I've got him set up with 371 accuracy, which is more than enough. I do think I could rebuild him to make him stronger. And then I use mostly perception gear. I'm not going to show you and open it up and show you like what I use for his chest and his boots and that sort of thing. The reason I don't do that is as long as you know what stats you need, you don't actually, it doesn't matter whether it was an AP chest or HP chest that got us there. It doesn't matter if it was speed boots or it was HP boots. As long as you get there, you get there. So that's under Priest Brogni. Oh, and I'll take a look at the Masteries as well. And of course, all these champions are fully booked. So in the Masteries, the important ones, I do everything I can to trigger the, the vampire, to really trigger there. And then we just go down into War Master. Over on the other side, I basically try to do, the longer shield. So I've got that set up, and everything that enhances shield is the important stuff over there. All right, then we can look at Valkyrie. And Valkyrie, very similar masteries. I don't know why I've got that on there. I think that's for PvP. But again, go down to War Master. That's the important thing, and go through the shield and down to shield extension. So that's all we need. Now, my Tomb Lord. Tomb Lord might be my favorite champion. He's just incredible. I've got him built for soloing content, so soloing Dragon and soloing Minotaur and Potion Keeps and all that stuff, so that I can, you know, uh, build up other champs while I use him. Uh, and I never waste any time running without leveling up champs. So I've just got him built for that, and I just send him in the way I've got him built. But the way I have him built is in regen, and I've got him at 52,000 HP, 27,000 defense. Again, he's not at 100% crit rate because I always run him against red affinity. But of course, that isn't the case in Hydra. But he's really not there to hit hard in Hydra. He's there to place the debuffs. And at 212 on normal, it's enough. It does, when you get to hard and stuff, it's a little harder for him to place them some of the time. And as you get to the higher levels, you'll probably want to boost up his accuracy a little bit. So here's Godseeker Aniri. I've got her in speed. At first, I had her in relentless, but I had to re-gear her. And the reason I did is she was outrunning the shields we were putting up. So she'd get so many turns that the shield would disappear. So that doesn't really make much sense. In her masteries, so on Godseeker Aniri's masteries, I just noticed this now. I don't even have the right masteries set up. So I've got her set up for, just probably the original build I put her in a long time ago, giving her resist and all this stuff that I'm really not even using anymore. So I would redo her masteries. She would do a lot more damage if she had War Masters. So, but here she is with 41,000 hit points, 3,700 defense because she's defense based. She does have 100% crit rate. Not a whole lot of crit damage. And then she does need some accuracy, so the 238 accuracy helps. Other than that, she's pretty much, just there to kind of debuff by stripping the buffs off of them and extending our buffs. So here's Mordecai. I've got him in perception, and the only thing I really cared about on him was how much accuracy he had. So 320 accuracy, and then a lot of hit points to keep him alive and defense. So that's really all I focused on. Again, around that 220 speed. So he's obviously a very important link in this chain. And the last one is Flesh Tear, one of the most underrated epics in the game. I've thought so for a very long time. Even when I was doing like a 2-key ultimate nightmare using him, I still had people saying, "Oh, he's a trash champion. He needs a buff." And I'm like, "Why? He's incredible already. He's increasing their debuffs. He's increasing our buffs. What more could you need? Other than if they were on a 3-turn cooldown, he'd be a legendary." So here we are, 48,000 hit points, 3,200 defense. I think this is still my old clan boss build. Where I've maybe stolen a little bit of gear off of here and there. 219 speed, so fast enough, and 309 accuracy. The accuracy doesn't have to be that high for normal, so I just kind of went with what I had. He already had War Master in the Masteries because of the fact that he was in my clan boss build. So there we go. Those were the champions, and I hope you enjoyed this. 32 million is quite a feat. I really enjoyed that, even though it was on normal. On hard with the unkillable comp, I got like 22 million. So that was also a great accomplishment as well. So please go watch my unkillable Hydra team video as well. It's very similar in the sense that we're just using buffs to do as much damage as possible. Other than that, it's obviously on that harder level, so having unkillable helped out a lot. So anyway, please subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate all of you.
It's just you, me, and the odds. We stuck together, we 2 peas in a pod. You dealt a bad hand, I'm there seizing the cards. We'll never be separated till we seeing the gods. We've been low together, high forever. Long as we go together, we'll die whenever. Be a light, couldn't let the darkness try you ever. Truth in my word, you I lie to never.